Okay, let's continue. Perek Lamed Ches. We started yesterday a little bit of a Hagdama to Perek Lamed Ches, which was the idea about Dibur, about speech. And we asked the Kasha, not our Kasha, the Heiliger Tanya's Kasha, of why is it that here, when a person thinks of something, means nothing. Whereas, if a person says the words of Krishma, Torah, Bracha, whatever, Beloi Kavana, B'diavad at least is Yaitza. Don't we say that Kavanah is more than anything? And we answered, not again we, the Heiliger Tanya answered, that he explained to us that you need a pu'ula, you need an action. So by tzedakah, for example, you could think all you want to give tzedakah, but until you do the pu'ula, the action of giving, you don't do anything. So it's very nice that in your head, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, but l'maisa you didn't do anything until it came out of your mouth. Which is why there has to be Yotze B'Svos, it has to come out of your lips, it has to come out of your mouth. It has to be expressed in a very physical way, because after all, we are living in a physical world. That is the Mitzvah. So Mimela, that's where we were holding yesterday. We did a few paragraphs in Perek Lamed Ches. Let's continue now. V'af. I think that's where we were holding. V'af. Okay. V'af shebishneim or echod shova bebchinas hester ponim ulevushim shovim sha'or mistater umis'alem umislabesh bay. That means like this. When we say over here the neshama, right? We're talking about the neshama, the soul. We're talking specifically, remember we said yesterday there are two neshamas, Nefesh HaBahamis, Nefesh HaKis. We spoke about that yesterday. Over here what we mean is the Nefesh HaBahamis. That's the animalistic soul, the soul that's more physical, so to speak, with all the physical taivas and everything inside there. And we also at the beginning of Sefer Tanya mentioned that the Nefesh HaBahamis really comes from Klipas Noiga. Klipas Noiga has within it both the Toiva and the Ra, and you get to choose what you want to do in that case over there. And what happens is at the end of the day, the body, which is a very physical thing, also comes from Noiga. So really the question is, what's the difference between the energy in the guf and the energy in the neshama? So that's what we're saying over here, and that's what the Tanya is going to be explaining. Even though in both of them, it sort of conceals the light, because both of them at the end of the day are from Olam Hazeh. As a whole, at the end of the day, right, this world, the physical world that we're living in, conceals equally all the light and the energy from Vachayus, Shemi Ruach Piv, from, so to speak, the breath of his mouth. You spoke B'chinas Hester Ponim, you read this in Madregas, B'shtalshulus Ha'ilomos, Mi Madrega Le Madrega, B'tzimtzumim Rabim Ba'atzumim. That means it gets downgraded, rung by rung by rung. The closer it gets down to this world, we sometimes translate it as diluted. But you can also say it gets downgraded for the chain of the worlds, and then eventually, the divine light becomes more diminished and lower and fainter, until Shinis Labesh Beklipas Noiga. In other words, once the divine light, that up in Shemayim, up over there, is so bright, is so incredible, once it's been diminished so many times, it's diluted so many times, then basically it can come to a klipas noiga situation that energizes the infrastructure of this world. Which again gives certain chiyus, energy, to many things in this world. Hachomi, right, the physical world, the hainu, okay? The hainu kol dvarim hamutorim v'hatorim sheba olam hazeh. In other words, the klipas noiga is the energy of all the things that are mutter and Torah in this world. Umimena va'al yoda mushpoin dvarim hatameim. And through klipas noiga, also, it gives a certain hashba to those things that are tomei, ki bechenes mumutzas. Because at the end of the day, it's an intermediary. Klipas noiga, which is where our neshama, that's habahamis, that's animalistic, comes from, is an intermediary between that which is holy and that which is very impure. Okay, and that's where we're holding. We're in this physical world with this klipas noiga, and we constantly have to make those choices, because constantly we have inside us all of these things coming in. So it comes out that everybody has a different sort of balance of how much this is. Let's just do another small paragraph. Ki baguf hagashmi v'hadoimeim mamish ka'avonim va'ofer. Remember we said yesterday that even a stone has some kind of energy. Because if it doesn't have the energy of Hashem energizing it, what would happen? The stone would turn into nothing. There's something that's constantly re-energizing the stone, the rock that you see, that's giving it the energy. That's why on the highest level, by the way, when you look at anything in this world and you go on a trip or something and you see a beautiful mountain, you see a massive, huge rock, it's not the rock, it's Hashem. What does that mean? What are you talking about? The answer is it's the energy of Hashem that's constantly energizing this item, because if not, it wouldn't be here in the world. So, the physical body that we have, mamish. Doimim is something that does nothing, doesn't grow. A plant, for example, grows, has energy that you can see, right? The tree grows, the fruit grows from it, the leaves, the branches, whereas ka'avonim, like a stone, va'ofer, dirt, that has such a tzimtzum, such a diminishment, such a dulling of the light of the illumination that has no comparison in this world. Meaning the energizing force that it has in it, which it does, because after all, if it didn't, it wouldn't be alive. It would not alive. It wouldn't be around in the world. It's so mu'etes. It's tiny. It's so minute. It can't even grow. For example, a plant can grow because it has bigger energy, it has much more inside it. So it can actually cause growth. A stone, a rock, cannot grow because it has such a small koyach. Right, in the case of a plant, for example, so now the divine light isn't diminished as much, and it's split into 4 madrigas. What are these 4 madrigas? There's a doimim, there's a tzomeach, there's a chai, and there's a medaber. We are of the highest level, which is a medaber. Unclus, by the way, in Parashat Bereshis, says that the chilek between a human being and an animal is the fact that he can speak. The koyach of dibur is what makes us different than an animal. That means if a person speaks the wrong things, he's no different than an animal. Because the koyach of speech means koyach of good speech. Speech that's uplifting. Speech that's positive. Speech that's, Yiddishkeit. That's got shaykhs to Rabbeinu Shalom, not garbage. Because if you're speaking garbage, you're no different than an animal. So there's a doimim, tzomer, chai, and medaber. A doimim, for example, is a stone. It's a rock. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't grow. It's got energy, but a very small amount. Tzomer is a plant. A plant has growth to it. You can see that it grows, but not so much. Chai is obviously like an animal because it's alive. It has an energy that's alive, and of course, medaber is a human being. Keneged. What are these 4 madrigas? Daled oisius shem havaya. The name of Hashem, Baruch Hu shemimeno nishmoim, that it comes from there. So the higher the life form that exists, the more divine light and energy is present, and the weaker the tzimtzum is, the weaker the dilution is, if that's a real word. So therefore, the divine, the light over here is the same that we have in the animal soul and the body, but the diminishment is different. I hope I'm making sense. The diminishment of the light is different in the guf and in the animal soul, the nefesh habahamis, because that's what he's explaining over here. The difference is how much it has to do. A body that we have is a medaber. We have an opportunity to be a medaber, and therefore, why is he saying all of this? Now let's go back to that. Let's go back to our original idea. If you do a mitzvah without any kavanah, you do a mitzvah, you say you say Shema, you say a bracha, berachas hamazon. He gave us examples yesterday. You do a mitzvah without any kavanah. That's why the Gemara says it's like a guf b'li neshama. It's a body without a soul, meaning a mitzvah without kavanah lacks the soul, the neshama that energizes the guf. Mimela, yes, you were yikes to the mitzvah because you did it. L'maisa, I did the mitzvah, but no kavanah. Means it wasn't yotze in the proper way. So it was like a guf b'li neshama, that the guf is alive, but doesn't have the same energy in that case. Well, yeah, so therefore what we're saying over here is that how important it is for a person to have both. He needs to physically say the words of Torah, of Tefillah, but without the kavanah, he loses that energy. Well, we shall continue b'li neder tomorrow. Hopefully we'll finish the parak as well.